So let's see the functions. I'm going to tell you about two functions today. We have f of x equals sine x, and we have f of x is equal to cosine x. So these are two functions. But if I ask you something like, what is cosine of 0? What is sine of 0? These are not very easy. We cannot use like a right triangle to solve this kind of question. What is cosine of 0? What is sine of 0? Okay, so we're going to use something called the unit circle. And this will give us like a way to solve so many more inputs for the function cosine and sine. Okay? So what is the unit circle? So it's just basically a circle on like a graph. So this is just a plane. Now we have a circle, okay? And it has a radius of 1. So all of these are 1. Okay? And so how is this going to help us know all these inputs? By the way, there's so many different inputs that we can learn from it. Yeah, because from the triangle, we can only learn so little, but from the unit circle, we can learn much more. So, let me look at my notes. Okay, so we have, the one thing we have to remember is that all the points are going to be like cosine, sine. So what does this mean and how can we remember this? So we remember this like this. C comes before S in the alphabet, right? So that's why cosine is always going to be the x value and sine is always going to be the y value. So this is basically equivalent to x comma y. Now let's look at an example so we understand. What is this point right here? This point right here, so this is on the x-axis and this is on the y-axis. So on the x-axis, what is the point for x? The point is 1, right? Because the radius of the circle is 1. That's all for this. This is origin 0, 0. This is 0, 0, right? So if we just move 1 here, what's the x-axis? 1. What's the y-axis? It still says 0. Does that make sense? Okay. So since now we're going to relate this point back to here. The idea is that since the point of 0, 1, 0, so if they're asking us what is, okay, now we have to introduce one more topic before we can solve this. So what is this on the unit circle? This is 0 degrees. What is this on the unit circle? This is 90 degrees because there's a right angle. There's right angle here, right angle here, right angle here. What is this? This is 180 degrees because the straight line is 180 degrees in measurement. 180 degrees. So we're just going to put the measurement at the end of at the end of the line. Okay, what is this? This is 270 and 360. Now we can solve what is cosine of 0. So what we're going to do, we're going to look what is the angle of measurement on the circle that we're looking for. So we are looking for cosine of 0 degrees. So on the point 0 degrees, the point on the unit circle is 1, 0. So since we're going to use this formula, cosine sine, it turns out that the cosine of 0 degrees is 1. And what about sine of 0? We know sine is always going to be the second point. So the second point here is 0. So we can just use this as a reference right here. This is just going to be our reference. And since at 0 degrees of sine, sine is always going to be the second one. So let's write that down. And remember, C comes before S in the alphabet, so that's how we remember. This is how we interpret all of the points on the unit circle. So sine of 0, 0 degrees, and sine is always the second one. So it's equal to 0. What if I told you cosine of 90 degrees and sine of 90 degrees? Let's do this. 90 degrees on the unit circle. So first thing we're going to do is whatever the input is, we're going to look for that input on the unit circle. So they said 90 degrees. So we looked at 90 degrees. The next thing is we're going to say, what is the coordinate of the point? The coordinate of the point, okay, let's figure it out. If the origin is 0, 0, this is 0, 0, let's erase all this stuff. Okay, so this is 0, 0, right? The origin. This is 0, 1, 0. This is 1, 0. Right? Because we just moved x value one place to the right. Now what is this point? The x value doesn't change, right? It's still 0. But what about the y value? It goes up 1. Because remember, the radius is 1. And so it turns out that cosine of 90 degrees, from cosine is the first one, is 0. Cosine of 90 degrees is 0. Sine of 90 degrees is 1. Cool, right? Let's do some more. And trust me, these are not only 4 values we can get. We can get like way more than this. We're gonna show how we can get way more than just 0, 90, 180, 270. We can get unlimited. Okay? We're gonna see how. So let's say we have sine of 180, cosine of 180. What is this? So so first we're gonna locate the degree on the circle. It's this point, right? And we're gonna say what is the point in terms of the graph. The point is we move x to the -1, right? Because this is 0, 0. So if we go to the left 1 for the x, it's -1. And if we don't move the y value, then it's 0. So -1, 0. So remember, we're asking sine of 180. Sine is the second one. It's just 0. Cosine of 180. Cosine is the first one, so it's -1. Let's do one more example. Let's do 270, 270, 270. 270, let's do this. Okay, located on the graph here. What is the point? It's negative, the x value doesn't change. The y value is -1. Okay, let's plug it in. Sine is the second one. Sine is -1. What about cosine? Cosine is the first one, is 0. So that's great. What if they ask you something above 360? So if they ask you 360, you know you're going to use the same one as if you did 0. So you know how we use the same one for 0 and we use the same one for 360? It kind of works the same way. So if we went beyond 360, we went to, what is 360 plus 90? 360 plus 90 is just 450. So if they ask you, what is the sine and cosine of 450? The first thing you do is you just subtract from 360. So we subtract from 360, you say, wow, it's just 90. And then we do it like as if they asked us, what is 90? So we're basically changing the problem in our heads. So we take these guys, say, you're not going to trick us, and we make it sine 90, cosine 90. It's the same exact problem. So basically you see how it can go all the way to infinity, right? And you just basically subtract 360, and of course if it's really, really big, you would have to divide 360. Okay, now let's see how we can get even more values. So how we can get even more values is like this. We have to remember just three numbers. Radical 1 over 2, radical 2 over 2, and radical 3 over 2. What do you see in common? It's just 1/2, 2/2, 3/2 pretty much, right? Except we have to put a pesky radical on the top. We just have to do that, okay? And this one is actually just 1, because radical 1 is just 1, right? So you might notice that as the numerator gets bigger, the overall fraction also gets bigger because the denominators are all 2. So this is the smallest, and this is the biggest. Big. Okay? And so we have to, when we're also describing angles, there's sometimes we're not just going to get 0 and 90, we're going to get values like this. We're going to get like, let's say we're going to get 30, we're going to get 45, we're going to get 45, okay, let's start in green. Okay, we're going to get maybe 30-degree angles, or we're going to get 45-degree angles, or we're going to get 60-degree angles, okay? These are the only three you have to remember. It starts from 0, it jumps 30, and then it increments 15, and then it's 30 away from 90. So they might ask you, what's the sine of 45? Or what's the cosine of, 60 plus 90? They might ask you, what's the cosine of 150? And they may also ask you in radians, but we know how to convert that. So, sine of 45. So how can we do this one? So we're going to use these three values that I gave you. And how we're going to do it? We're going to use small to big. So for 45, and this is middle. This is middle. small, big, and this is middle. So it's 45 small, bigger, middle. It's middle. 60 small, bigger, middle. It's big. It's big, and it's 30 small, bigger, middle. It is small, and I was describing all of these in terms of their y. So let's just see how we can. And also, and all of their x values. What about their x values? X values, 30 is the biggest, 45 is the middle, and 60 is the smallest. And I'm just gonna label it for you. So let's just quickly label it. For 30 degrees, the x value is the biggest one, so rad 3 over 2. And the y value is the smallest one. Okay? For 45, the x value is in the middle, because you see the x value is decreasing. X value is in the middle, so x value is rad 2 over 2. And the y value is also in the middle, rad 2 over 2. Okay? And same thing for 60. Same thing for 60. What is the x value? It's small. It's 1/2. What is the y value? Is big. It's negative rad 3 over 2. Okay, and it turns out we do the same exact thing for all of them. We're just gonna add 32 to 90, and we're gonna get 120, and we have 15, we have 135, and etc., etc. And then we change the negative signs as appropriate. So, for example, you have to know that this side of the x-axis is all negative, this side of the x-axis is all positive. So we're just basically flipping the signs. And same thing here. This is all negative. This is all positive for y-axis.